My father pointed straight at me and said, "She's not ours." My mother didn't even look up. She just nodded. I was 17, standing alone in juvenile court, waiting for a judge to decide if I'd be sent away for stealing money from my family's business. They were supposed to defend me. Instead, they showed up like witnesses for the prosecution. The room went still. Even the clerk stopped typing. The judge leaned forward. "Mr. Dane, are you refusing responsibility for this minor?" My father didn't hesitate. "We want nothing to do with her." Every eye in that courtroom turned toward me. No lawyer. No one speaking up. Just my parents acting like I didn't belong to them. The judge reached for his gavel. And I pulled an envelope out of my backpack. Because if they were going to lie in public, they picked the worst possible day. My hands were shaking so badly the paper rattled when I held it up. The bailiff took a step toward me, but the judge raised a hand. "What is that?" he asked. "Something they forgot existed," I said. For the first time that morning, my father's composure cracked. Until then, he'd looked calm, bored even, like this hearing was just another inconvenience between meetings. My mother sat beside him in a cream blazer, eyes fixed on the table, hands folded neatly in her lap. They hadn't spoken to me once since my arrest. Not when the police pulled me out of school in handcuffs. Not when I spent the night in detention. Not when I kept asking for the lawyer they promised to send. But now they had plenty to say. "She's unstable," my father told the judge. "She stole from our company and threatened us when we confronted her." The lie was polished. Practiced. The prosecutor nodded like he'd already heard it before. That's when it hit me, they hadn't just abandoned me today. They'd been building this case long before I ever walked into that courtroom. The judge turned back to me. "Ms. Dane, if you're interrupting these proceedings, you'd better have a reason." "I do." I looked straight at my parents. My mother finally met my eyes. For a split second something slipped through. Not guilt. Not regret. Fear. I handed the envelope to the clerk. Inside were documents I'd copied a week before my arrest. Records no one knew I had. The clerk passed the first page to the judge. He read 2 lines. And everything about his expression changed. He looked up slowly, his voice quieter now, sharper. "Mr. Dane, why are there 2 payroll ledgers?" The moment the judge said those words, my father froze. Not completely, but just long enough for everyone to feel it. He blinked once, leaned back in his chair and let out a small, strained laugh. "There aren't 2 payroll ledgers, Your Honor. My daughter doesn't understand accounting." My mother nodded immediately. Too quickly. I'd seen that my whole life. My father speaks, she confirms. No hesitation. The judge didn't look up from the documents. "Then you can explain why one ledger lists 12 employees, and the other lists 19? Silence. Even the prosecutor, who had been treating me like an easy conviction all morning, leaned forward to get a better look. My father adjusted his cufflinks. Controlled. Internal drafts. Different versions. Nothing unusual. Might have worked on someone else. But I knew him. Whenever Orson Dane lied, he became perfect. His voice smoothed out. His movements slowed. His hands went still, like control over his body could rewrite reality. I'd watched him do it to clients. To contractors. To auditors. I just never thought he'd do it to me. The judge finally looked up. "Miss Dane, where did you obtain these?" "I worked in the office after school and on weekends," I said. "I handled payroll files, invoices, vendor folders. I printed those directly from the accounting system." The prosecutor frowned. "You had access to company records?" "My parents gave it to me." My father's head snapped toward me. "Limited access. Enough to frame me with," I said before I could stop myself. The air in the room shifted. The judge leaned forward slightly. "Frame you?" My throat tightened, but I didn't look away. For 3 years I entered receipts and filed reports. I know how the system works. Last month I found duplicate payments and employee names I'd never seen on any job site. I paused, forcing the words out. When I asked about it, my father told me to stop asking questions. "That's absurd," he cut in, but too fast. Too sharp. The judge noticed. "So you confronted them about financial irregularities," he said, watching me closely. "Yes. And shortly after that, $80,000 went missing under your login credentials." "Yes." This time the prosecutor didn't interrupt. He was thinking. I remembered the day they came for me, third period chemistry. 2 officers at the door. 30 students staring while I packed my bag with shaking hands. At the station I called my mother. She picked up on the 3rd try. I said, "Mom, they think I stole from Dad." She didn't ask if I was okay. She asked, "Did you tell them anything about the office?" I didn't understand it then. I did now. The judge turned another page. "Mr. Dane, who authorized monthly payments to Northridge Contracting?" My father said nothing. The judge tapped the second ledger. "Interesting. Northridge only appears here." My mother reached for his arm under the table. He pulled away. And then, a chair scraped loudly from the back row. Everyone turned. The company accountant had half stood up, like his body reacted before his brain could stop it. He froze under the weight of every eye in the room. Then slowly he sat back down. Too late. The judge peered over his glasses. "Sir, identify yourself." The man swallowed. "Martin Keel, accountant for Dane Custom Homes." My father turned sharply. "Martin, sit down and keep quiet." That one sentence said more than he intended. The judge's tone hardened. "Mr. Keel, you'll remain available." The prosecutor rose, but the confidence was gone. "Your Honor, I'd like a brief recess to review these documents." "Denied," the judge said immediately. "We're past the point of convenience." A ripple moved through the gallery. Even strangers could feel it now. The case had shifted. My father straightened, trying to pull control back into his hands. "This is a distraction. My daughter has been angry for months. Defiant. She was disciplined at home and retaliated." "Disciplined?" I said. "You mean questioned?" He ignored me. The judge turned to me. "Ms. Dane, when did you print these ledgers?" "The week before I was arrested." "Why?" "Because I knew something was wrong." My mother finally spoke, her voice soft, almost fragile. "She's manipulative. She twists things." I almost smiled. That was her favorite word. Twist. Anytime I noticed something she didn't want seen. When workers complained about missing checks. When tax letters stayed unopened in a kitchen drawer. When my father changed passwords the moment I got too close to payroll. The prosecutor looked at my father. "Did you disclose these parallel records during our investigation?" "There are no parallel records." The judge tapped the documents. "Then these forged themselves?" Silence. I reached into my pocket. "There's more." Every head turned. For the first time my father's face lost color. I held up my phone, the one police had taken then returned that morning. "There's a voicemail." The prosecutor stepped forward quickly. "Objection. We haven't authenticated." "We can hear it first," the judge said. I pressed play. Static filled the room. Then my father's voice, low, sharp, unmistakable. "Use her login. If this goes wrong, we pin it on the girl." The room didn't explode. It collapsed inward. Gasps. Chairs scraping. Someone outside the courtroom stepping closer. My mother grabbed his sleeve. "Orson." "Turn that off," he snapped. Too late. The gavel cracked once. "Order." The judge looked at the prosecutor. "Are you still asking this court to proceed against the minor?" The prosecutor's jaw tightened. "Not until I review every statement provided by these witnesses." Witnesses. Not parents. My chest tightened. For the first time since my arrest, someone believed me. But the judge wasn't done. He turned back to me, eyes steady. "If they framed you, what exactly were they trying to hide?" "Nothing," my father said quickly. Too quickly. Too loud. The judge didn't even glance at him. "I didn't ask you." That hit harder than anything else so far. I felt every nerve in my body light up. I'd imagined this moment, someone finally asking for the truth. But saying it out loud meant there was no going back. "They billed customers for work that wasn't finished," I said. "Sometimes for work that never even started." The courtroom went still again. Kept going. "They charged for materials twice. Paid crews half of what they promised. Then created fake contractor accounts to move money out of payroll." The prosecutor grabbed a pen and started writing fast. My father let out a laugh, but it cracked in the middle. "She's repeating things she doesn't understand. I understand enough to know Northridge Contracting doesn't exist." That landed. His expression emptied completely. The judge turned to the accountant. "Mr. Keel, stand." Martin rose slowly like his legs barely worked. You are under oath, the judge said. Does Northridge contracting exist? Martin looked at my father. My father stared back, the same look that used to silence entire rooms. It didn't work anymore. No, Martin said quietly. My mother inhaled sharply. The judge leaned forward. Then what is it? Martin swallowed. A shell vendor, used for transfers. The room erupted. My father slammed his hand against the table. You coward. Enough, the judge snapped. The prosecutor stepped closer. How long? Martin rubbed his hands together. Almost 3 years. 3 years. 3 years of fake payments, fake records, and one person chosen to take the fall. The judge turned back to me. When did you discover this? About a month ago. And shortly after, funds vanished under your credentials. He let that hang in the air. Now everyone understood what that meant. Yes. Martin's voice barely held. He closed his eyes. Mr. Dane told me we needed someone with access to take the blame, before the auditors came. There was, plain, public, on the record. I turned to my mother. Did you know? She opened her mouth, then closed it. Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't reach me. I'd spent too many nights chasing tears from people who only cried when they were caught. I asked one more question. When you said I wasn't yours, what did you mean? Silence. My father stared straight ahead. My mother looked down. So I reached into my folder one last time and pulled out a sealed packet. Old county records. I placed them gently on the table between us. The judge read the cover sheet, then looked up sharply. I met their eyes. They told the truth today, I said quietly. Just not the way anyone thinks. The judge opened the packet. Guardianship review, never completed, he read. A page turned. Placement agreement, temporary custody. The courtroom went so still I could hear the air vent above the bench. I had found those records 2 weeks earlier, buried in a request to County Family Services. At first I didn't believe them either. The judge looked directly at my parents. Did you ever legally adopt this child? No answer. Mr. Dane. My father's voice had lost all its polish. We took her in, after a family death. That was not my question. Pause. Then finally, no. One word. 17 years collapsed into it. Something inside me didn't break. It went quiet. I had lived in their house since I was 6. Called them mom and dad. Worked in their office. Protected their reputation. Tried year after year to become worth keeping. And on paper, I had never belonged to them. The judge kept reading. After my biological aunt died, survivor benefits had been issued. Money meant for my care. Money they received, while delaying permanent guardianship hearings again and again. Close enough to use me. Distant enough to discard me. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, in light of fraudulent statements, manipulated evidence and newly presented records, the state moves to dismiss all charges. He glanced at the file. Against Varela. Effective immediately. The gavel struck. Granted. My knees nearly gave out. Dismissed. Not reduced. Not postponed. Gone. Then the judge turned to my parents. Bailiff, detain Mr. and Mrs. Dane pending referral for false reporting, fraud, and conspiracy. Mr. Keel will remain available for investigators. My mother gasped. Judge, please. He cut her off. You attempted to sacrifice a minor to protect yourselves. 2 deputies stepped forward. My father tried one last time to take control. This is a misunderstanding. No one listened. They were escorted past the same gallery that had watched them disown me less than half an hour earlier. My mother slowed as she passed me. Varela. I didn't answer. She had given me silence first. Outside, reporters crowded the courthouse steps. By the next morning, clients froze payments. Vendors demanded answers. Dane Custom Homes stopped returning calls. Within weeks, investigators uncovered everything. Tax fraud, fake vendors, stolen payroll funds that went far beyond my case. As for me, a court advocate helped me secure emergency housing, legal support, and access to the benefits that had been meant for me all along. 3 months later, I enrolled in community college. Accounting. Funny, right? The girl who didn't understand numbers. I also filed to restore my original last name. When the certificate arrived, I sat alone at my kitchen table and stared at it for a long time. No courtroom. No handcuffs. No borrowed identity. No one claiming me when it was convenient. Or denying me when it wasn't. The day they told the judge I wasn't theirs was the first honest thing they ever gave me.